morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending where you're listening from. You are listening to IBGR.network, the International Business Growth Radio Network, and I'm your host, Jan Robberts, inspirational entrepreneur, co-founder of Key Leadership Institute, and founder of JR Speakers Club. I'm also a coach, trainer, speaker, values-based leadership specialist, personal profiling consultant, and personal development professional. But for more information about me, you probably know enough already, but for more information about me, you can go to the www.ibgr.network website and you'll find everything on my profile and how to contact me and you know what I'm all about. But before we go any further, by the way, actually, I just would love to hear from you. We're live on radio and also live on Facebook on the ibgr.website page, and this is live radio. So what we would like to hear is if you've got any questions, whether it's about habits or any other subjects that you thought about, we would love to hear from you, because you, the listeners, and of course now the viewers, are the ones who are important to us. Now, if you're not live and you listen to this as a recording, or you're watching this as a recording, still ask the questions, because we will come back to it and I'll answer your questions and consider any questions and comments you have. So if there's anything that you would like to know more about or a different subject, then we will actually consider it and talk into it. Maybe not straight away, but we will build a program around it if there is a need for it, of course. So yeah, you can connect with us on social media, on Facebook, as we are already on Facebook here live, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter at ibgr.network, and we're also on YouTube. However, don't forget to download our amazing app. You can download our app onto your tablet, your mobile phone, whatever you carry with you, your laptop, so you can listen in 24/7. Yes, 24/7. So on the app as well, we've got the profiles of the 40-odd hosts around the world. We've got information. We've got all the podcasts you can listen to or download. A community there. Become part of our community. Also, when you go to our website, you can join us there on ibgr.network and become part of our community, because there is also an enormous amount of information, and there is free information that you can download as well. A lot of show notes that we have here, they are downloadable, and the amazing people on the background, Donna and Bill, they've put all this in a kind of book format, so you can actually download them for your information, and then you can look into these notes. Is there anything that speaks really into you? So then you can download or listen to the podcast for that particular show on all days of the week. Now, this is episode 7 already. Wow, 7 season 4. And I'm going to be talking about habits. Are they danger or are they opportunity? Which habits serve you and which do you actually need to dump? And that's, of course, always going to be a choice. But how can you make those kind of choices if you don't know the habits you've got, if you don't know the kind of habits that serve you or whether they hinder you? Now, in our this is our people skills lane, people for success at ibgr.network. And as I said, you can download our show notes from there. Donna has already put my show notes in there as well for this particular show. She's amazing on the background as well, and also an amazing host on the Friday especially, and probably other days as well, because she's so talented. But we in this show we have now, we're well on the way in season 4, and as I said, we want you, the audience, to ask questions and to comment, because you decide what we are going to talk about. Not if there's just one thing, but if more and more people start to ask about the similar kind of things, we will certainly create programs around it, or at least sessions around it. And I hope that makes sense. But we are globally, and 5 days a week, we have got hosts who are live here, and different subjects like operations, customers, finance. Today it's people, the people side, and tomorrow executive, working on the business rather than in the business. And there's a lot of different levels as well, from having an idea to opening your doors to actually starting to really prosper and eventually thinking about wanting to sell your business. There is something for everybody here. That's why I can say it on radio as well. Like and share this, not only my show, but all the shows that are here. Listen to them, like them, and share them, because as a leader, we're all leaders. As a leader, if you see something that will benefit you or might benefit some of the people you know, then give them that opportunity as well. So I hope that makes any sense. And just a message came flying by and I thought it was on Slack. But I am convinced that there will be something here for everybody to help guide and support them to become more effective as entrepreneurs. I hope that makes sense. But as I said already, today I will talk into habits. Are they dangerous or do they provide opportunity? And talking into which habits will help you or hinder you and which one you actually really just downright need to dump. Even though sometimes they stare you in the face, we're going to talk into that. But if this is your first time listening, welcome. And if you're a returning listener or viewer, of course, welcome back. I'm always amazed that in such a short time, the people on the background, and of course all my fellow amazing hosts, the way they've advertised themselves and shown themselves on social media to ensure it's not just for us to ensure that you, the entrepreneur or budding entrepreneur, will get the benefit of some of the knowledge from all these people who've been entrepreneurs for from a few years to many, many years in all the different subjects I mentioned earlier on. But we're now in 152 countries, and I might be corrected, but at least 152 countries around the world. There is people listening, not all at the same time, but there's people listening to our programs, to ibgr.network every single week. So thank you, because those of you who are listening, those of you who are watching, are helping us to spread the word far and wide. And that will benefit so many more of us. As Bill always says in the adverts, and probably in between here as well, or even before, that there is 57% of people are entrepreneurs or employed by entrepreneurs. That is, as he says, a whopping 1.9 billion people. And if there was ever a time that we need more entrepreneurs, that more people will be starting to think about becoming entrepreneurs, because the job they thought they had for life or for a long time yet, all of a sudden, because of whatever's going on, has disappeared or is treacherously dangerous. Treacherously dangerous. Okay, I'll think into that a bit more. I need to listen to that again. I might even have to write it down, because that's very dangerous, I suppose. But I mean, you know what I mean. But you need to kind of, if you're thinking about it, if you're considering it, if you're already on the way, join us. Come and join us more often, because there's so much stuff here that'll help you. Now, thoughts become actions. Actions become habits, and habits become your destiny. That is a saying, and there's some of them make them longer, but I mean, that is the basics. And what it means is that whatever you think, everything begins with a thought. But as these thoughts become actions, and that's for a whole different program, where you need to get, everything starts coming in your head, and it goes into your subconscious, and eventually you start taking action on what you know, and then you look at the actions you have failed on, and then you say you can or you cannot do that depending on the thoughts you had previously. I will go into that at another time, but it's fascinating stuff, mind power, and in fact probably next week. If I'm right, yes, I think next week, mind power. Then I'm going to talk a little bit more into that, the power of the mind. But today, it's that second part, or the third part. Thoughts become actions, actions become habits, and habits become your destiny. So how important are they? Habits are basically algorithms that in the background that power our lives. So good habits help us to reach our goals much more effectively and much more efficiently. Bad ones make things harder, and or they might even prevent success altogether. Habits powerfully influence our automatic behavior. Now, that's why I'm going to first talk a little bit about habits rather than the ins and outs of it, but I'm going to talk into why they are important and what they are and all that kind of stuff. But habits talk into your behavior, which means that you can change them should you decide to. But do you have any habits that do not or no longer serve you? Or do you have any idea what habits you do have? Well, there's this beginning question maybe. It's a kind of the good, the bad and the ugly, I suppose. And now the older generations will start whistling. They know what I mean. But it's the good, the bad and the indifferent even, if you like. But when you understand what habits are and how they serve or hinder you, it is so much easier to make that important decision to get rid of those that don't support you progress, that whether it's in life, in business, or with the ones that you hang around with socially. But when they no longer support you, you need to make that choice, that conscious, intentional choice to replace them. Now, which habits are, and I'm just keeping an eye on the time for the radio side, because when we take a break in a couple of minutes, why are habits so important? Well, habits shape your life far more than you probably realize. According to the Power of Habit author, and I put the name of that book in the resources on the show notes as well, Charles Duhigg, it's The Power of Habit, is the book is called, well worth reading. Habits are so important, an important force that your brain actually cling to, because they create neurological cravings where a certain behavior and whatever happens with them is actually rewarded by the release of pleasure chemicals in the brain. So habits matter because they hold great influence and sway over how we think and act and how we feel, which just about covers everything we do, really. So we get into habits of thinking, doing and feeling, and because it's the brain supporting, it's actually the brain's shortcut to behavior and feeling certain ways, and it becomes an automatic behavior, a support system on the background, if you like, you know. So what is the role of a habit? Well, habits make it possible for us to do things without spending exorbitant mental effort. They make everyday life possible, for good or bad. Mental habits are important too, because, for example, paying attention to disturbing thoughts is a habit that can lead to personal anxiety. Now, there's going to be a lot more about habits, but what we're going to do just now on the radio, at least, we're going to take a short break for a commercial, and we will be back after us. But come and join us on the social platforms I've already mentioned, and don't go away. We'll be back in a few minutes. Take care.